Hey, a big Canucker buck 110 story coming at you 2 seconds. All right, this is a big Canucker coming at you with a knife story. All right, so there's nothing like a Monday with a chapeau at a jaunty angle, a kick-ass knife, and a damn good story. All right, this is my Buck 110 Cabela's edition. It is the Paul Boss heat-treated S30V with the titanium nitride coating on it. This is 7.2 ounces of animal chopping, cutting goodness. You better have yourself one of these if you're a hunter. Well, I don't know. There's lots of knives out there, but this is the one that was with me probably about 7 years ago when me and a buddy Jamie went out and decided that we were going to get ourselves a moose, and we ended up doing such a thing. Oh, let's just see. We went out into Castle Mountain out here in Alberta, and the Castle Mountain range there is just kind of on the border. I think it's just on this side of the BC border, and there's a mountain range there, a couple of these old logging roads that you got to drive through, and we ended up glassing a big old bull and 2 cows and about 1.5 miles, 2 miles into this valley. You know, I kind of went one way and Jamie went the other way. And lo and behold, bang, I hit this big old bull moose right in the lungs, and it bucked and coughed and spit, and it ended up running about 50 yards into some of the absolute nastiest bush that you've ever seen in your entire life. It was horrible. And well, I don't know if that's what the moose's last thought that runs through his mind is. Listen, you son of a bitch, you just hit me with a bullet. I'm going to make sure that if you're going to eat a piece of me, it's going to be some damn hard-fought meat, and it was, I got to tell you. So now we thought we could get in there with the truck because there's all these kind of side-by-side mountain trails that kind of get into this open field, and then it's kind of low brush, but there is some kind of trails that are in this spot. But I guess we're not the only one who's ever had that idea, and there's been some people out there who have taken their four-wheel drive trucks on these side-by-side and quad trails and beaten the piss out of them. So whoever in their wisdom took a couple of great big boulders and set them in front of the entranceway, and there was no way that we could get this truck through there. And I mean, we tried. So we ended up walking back out probably 1.5 miles to the truck. And at the end of the story, I'm going to leave a couple of pictures there of where the truck was parked to where actually the moose was, and you'll see a little red X there with a truck that says, a little spot that says, an arrow that says truck. And believe me, it was a long way. So we ended up, Jamie had himself a couple of hunting knives there, and they were they were like butter knife dull. And I happened to have this on my hip, my Buck 110. If I'm going to go out there and hammer a moose, I'm going to make sure I've got something that can cut it up. And so Jamie took his knives and he ended up taking this and going through this moose, and we cut that bugger up into 4 pieces, including and then we got like a kind of a gut bag with all the the organs we wanted to take with us. And holy goodness, she was a trip. Now I got to say that Jamie was the guy who was way more in shape. I mean, I've been hurt for 3.5 years, and I've put on about 60 or 70 pounds. So back then I was probably kind of right around a little over 200 or so. And I thought I was in decent shape, but oh my goodness. Once you're packing those, because this was probably a 1,500 pound moose, and he was a big bastard. And when you think you can cut him in 4 pieces, and that's quite easy to manage, oh my goodness. And so we had to each drag, half carry a piece of this moose. We'd go maybe 50 yards, 100 yards, drop everything, go back another 50 or 100 yards, pick up the other piece each, drag it out, and then somebody would go back and grab the gut bag, bring that bag, and we took turns doing that. By the end of the night, Jamie was doing that by himself because by 8 o'clock that night, I was done. So we ended up starting that journey at about 9 in the morning. And so we ended up about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We had only gone, not very far, maybe 1/4 mile, because we had, it took us such a long time to kind of cut this up and get it through that 50 yards of brush. Oh, that was tough. Over and under these damn logs and So we get out to the truck to grab, because we got some coffee and some tea there and a little bit of sandwiches and stuff like that. And we have a little bit of a lunch. And there's an old fella there who's on this loggy road, and he decides he wants to take his dog for a little walk. And he stops and says, "What are you guys up to, fellas?" And you can see that we're covered in blood. And he said, "I just want you to know, yesterday I was out here walking his dog Goldie, and I saw a grizzly and 2 cubs here. So in that same field, about where you've got your meat there sitting there." And I have to tell you, it was a really odd feeling that you're carrying a grizzly lunch with being a grizzly lunch and through the bush. And now you've got yourself a 30-06 with a scope on it, and it's awfully hard if you had to turn and fire at a pissed off mother grizzly coming through the bush at you. You better damn well hit this thing square between the eyes, because if not, you're going to be grizzly poop in about 3 days or 2 days or the next day, because it was a weird feeling. By the time we got finished packing that moose out, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was in the fall time, so it got dark fairly early. So by 8 o'clock that night, she was pretty pitch black, and any little snap of wood or anything was just the hairs on the back of your neck stood up. Now, I mean, I'm a prairie boy from Manitoba. I mean, we got black bears, and if you got a black bear coming at you, you can stand up and give him the big yell, and chances are he'll get scared and run away. But a grizzly bear with 2 cubs, I mean, you'd have to probably shoot that thing 3 or 4 times. If you didn't get her right between the eyes, I mean, I think you just piss her off at first. And I don't know what I mean, of course I would have said, "Here, here's a nice moose snack for you," and I would have ran like hell. I probably would have taken Jamie and pushed him over and climbed over top of him and took off running. No, I don't really think I'd do that, but it was a really odd feeling. And I have to tell you, when everything was said and done, that was some of the absolute best moose steaks I've ever had in my life. And I have to say thank you very much to, I think, Mr. Al Buck, who created this, because this Buck 110 with the Paul Boss heat-treated S30V, it went through that big old moose, and it gave me a damn good story. It gave me a full belly, and I had a lot of fun that day. And thank you so much for stopping by and listening to my little story here. If you like what you heard, please give me the thumbs up, as well as a subscription. Appreciate it so much. Now, please stay safe out there. Listen to the expert. Keep the shiny side up. Your stick on the ice. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.